Hey guys, welcome back to Comic Relief Cast. This time we are not doing a This Week's Poll. As you guys can see, it's not titled This Week's Poll. We don't have any real issues. What you did click on, though, was the best and worst comics of 2018. Of course, I am always here with Josh.
And that's me. Hey guys.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do, obviously, is we're not doing this week's poll. Unfortunately, Christmas Day and New Year's Eve both fell on Tuesdays, so the past 2 weeks we have not done any reviews. Apologies for that. But to make up for it...
Well, just a quick rundown. Why don't you give them like 2 comics that you suggest they pick up that came out this week?
I would say Man Without Fear, #1, and I don't know, what about you?
Conan the Barbarian or Wolverine Long Night?
Wolverine Long Night, there it is. Yeah, because we're out of that one, so I forget about it. Yes,
yeah.
Wolverine Long Night and Man Without Fear. Yourself?
Yeah, I agree. Same too.
Yeah, both solid issues. But what we're going to be doing is Josh and I both slaved today, going over every comic book we could think of, remember, look up that came out in the year of 2018 to compile our own list of the best and the worst. And so what we're going to be doing is our top 10 comic books of 2018. These are mostly just ongoing series. We're going to go to best events or limited series, best one-shots, single issues, the biggest surprises out of 2018, and then we're going to end it with, well, no, not end it, but biggest disappointments or the worst comic books, and then end it on the things that we think the top 10 comic books you should be keeping your eye on going into 2019. And seeing as we're only here, it's January 4th as of the recording, we're only 4 days in. I feel like we got this in just in time.
Barely. I mean, like, yeah. By the time that this is posted, it's not going to be January 4th.
It won't be January 4th, but by the time this is posted, no new comics will also come out. So
yeah.
All right. So, and we're going to start off with the best, or the top 10 comic books of 2018. All of these stem from ongoing series, no limited series, anything like that. So my number 10, not a huge surprise, but it might be a surprise it's not a little bit higher on my list for some people, is Tony Stark Iron Man. I really dig Tony Stark Iron Man. I like what Dan Slott's doing. Maybe it's also, because Bendis is no longer doing it, I'm appreciating a fresh take.
I mean, I agree. It's a good run. My number 10 is Venom, the Donny Cates run. It was a solid run. It definitely, as you guys have heard in our reviews, that it definitely is a testosterone boost.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not higher on your list. My number 9 is Dan Abnett's Aquaman Rebirth. Really loving that stuff. Not so big on what Kelly Sue DeConnick did in that first issue of hers, but the first, I don't know, is it 47, 48 issues he did for Rebirth? Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. My number 9 is Teen Titans. Once they did they switched out the team roster and the creative team. Yeah, it's been a solid run. Get some cool new characters in the team.
Crush, Roundhouse, is it Roundhouse?
It's Roundhouse.
Okay. All right, my number 8. It's unfortunately a series that's been going for a while. It went into 2018, but is taking a long hiatus. But it did have some of the best stuff to offer of the series so far. Out of about 54, 55 issues, it's Saga.
I agree. It's a solid issue, solid run.
Yep.
My number 8 is Avengers.
Great series.
Yeah, it's a great series. This was a really hard one to kind of lay out because they're all kind of like right there in the same proximity. So I say number 8, but really all these are kind of my number 1.
Yeah, they can be interchangeable, right?
But no, it's a solid run. It has really exciting moments.
It does. All right, I'm going on to my number 7. Justice League Dark. I wasn't expecting this, but with the Witching Hour stuff that happened and past Witching Hour, I'm really enjoying that series.
It's a solid series. It's definitely, especially with you have Wonder Woman in there, and then it didn't seem like it was going to be a fit. My number 7 is Saga.
Hey,
it's a great run, and in the last 2 issues was just a really big cliffhangers.
Yeah,
for them to put on a hiatus that's more than a year.
Pisses you off. You got to wait so long. All right, my number 6. Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America. I know we talked about it. You kind of were starting to feel a little bit of a lag there at issues 3 and 4. Once you hit that issue 5, this thing hits the ground running. I love it. You know me. Love the political books.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely recommend Captain America. It feels like the best thing since Brubaker's done Cap.
My number 6 is Thanos, Donny Cates' Thanos. Granted, I did like Jason Aaron's on his part, but for 2018, with the Thanos wins and the introducing Cosmic Ghost Rider, it was a great run. Had some killer moments.
All right, my number 5, I got to give this one some props because it's 47 issues, maybe 48 issues in. It's been stellar the entire run. And, these other series are not nearly as far in, maybe except for Aquaman or Saga, but none of these other series are as far in as this one. And I've loved every single issue, even as the writers and artists have changed. Green Arrow. I'm absolutely loving Green Arrow.
Green Arrow is great. My number 5 is the New Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer and usually Otley, but sometimes Ramos. It's been a since issue 1, it's been a really great Amazing Spider-Man run. It's exactly what you'd want from Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, it just barely missed my top 10 list.
Yeah.
All right, going on to my number 4. This is a series, contrary to its number right now, it has been going since I think 2013. It's Jason Aaron on Thor. I absolutely love it. Yeah, people are maybe not be feeling the Mike Del Mundo art, but I don't care. The story that's telling, I'm so excited for.
And where it's leading.
And exactly, where it's leading. Jason Aaron's kind of the puppeteer right now of the Marvel Universe, the way Bendis did in the early 2000s. I'm loving Thor.
Yeah. My number 4. God.
My number Thor.
My number Thor. My number 4 is Green Arrow. Rebirth Green Arrow. It is one of the books, the only books that's out there that's long running that has consistently been good. There hasn't really been an issue that has been bad. And I think that is something that it needs to be told and spoke about.
Yep. All right, my number 3, another Jason Aaron run that you've already mentioned, The Avengers. I'm loving. I think if you're reading Thor, you're reading The Avengers, it would behoove you to read both titles because with what's coming out here soon in this year, both series are going to be tying into War of the Realms, and both series are top notch. Jason Aaron's doing a great job. I love The Avengers.
My number 3 is Gideon Falls. You guys heard me talk about it countless times on here. Gideon Falls is just a great, eerie comic book. Just solid.
Something I still need to read the first trade of.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to my number 2 series of 2018. This is something I was not expecting. I can't believe it, but I've actually pushed a couple friends onto it. They love it. One guy read all issues the day I told him to, and was like, holy shit, what have I been missing? It's Robert Venditti's Hawkman. Talk about a character in a series that came out of left fucking field, man. I was not expecting it. Hawkman, please get on it if you're not.
Hawkman is a great series. I mean, there's just too many good things for me to not put it on my list. So I couldn't put it on my list, but at the same time,
I was instantly made a Hawkman fan. Yeah. Went out and got an action figure for Christmas.
Nice. My number 2, Catwoman. These people, anybody who normally listens to our podcast, we could have
guessed your number 10.
I can't believe you guys said you worked hard on this.
It was tough.
Catwoman is a great run, and I mean the artwork, and I mean the Joel Jones doing the art and writing and everything on it, and it has been a good Catwoman run. This is kind of like the idea of what you would want in a Catwoman book, even though I never thought I would want a Catwoman book, so it's great. I love it.
All right, and moving on to both of our number ones.
Yeah, I know,
ended
right?
up being on both our number ones. It's really no surprise, honestly. Right after I made this top 10, I went on and I looked online what people were talking about, and this made a lot of top lists. No surprise, it's Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk for number 1 for both of us.
Yeah, it's a great run. I mean, that is the epitome of a horror comic, and it probably, and to be honest, my favorite Hulk storyline ever.
Oh, yeah.
I put it above Planet Hulk. I put it above all those.
That's a tall order.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is that this is a book nobody saw coming. I mean, I know so many comic book shops that did not order enough of this issue 1. We didn't, and it was impossible to get a hold of, and so we had to go to eBay, actually, and buy a lot of them just so some more of our customers could get it, so we could get ourselves a copy as well. So there you guys go. Our top 10 comic books 2018. I'm going to go back real quick. My number 10, Tony Stark Iron Man. Number 9, Aquaman. 8, Saga. Justice League Dark. 7, 6, Captain America. 5, Green Arrow. 4, Thor. 3, Avengers. 2, Hawkman. 1, Immortal Hulk.
Mine is 10, Venom. 9, Teen Titans. 8, Avengers. 7, Saga. 6, Thanos. Number 5 is Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man. Number 4 is Green Arrow. Number 3 is Gideon Falls. Number 2 is Joel Jones's Catwoman. Number 1, Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk.
All right, moving on to the best events or limited series of 2018. And I will start this off by saying this was hard.
This one was really hard.
This was a really hard one to make. So with that, there's going to be my number 10 is a little mini series that I don't think many people remember. I really thought it was good. It was charming. I thought it brought a couple characters back that I really liked, and it made them feel like the characters I remember. And it also brings another character back from the dead, which honestly, the way they did it, I don't really care. It was more the character interactions for me. It was Tales of Suspense, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. It was a 5-issue thing. I dug it.
I liked it, but you didn't order enough for me to continue reading it.
I'm sorry.
My number 10 is Cover by Brian Michael Bendis and David Mack. It's a great story from Jinx World, and it's kind of meta, in which makes it fun.
Right, and that's my favorite Jinx World title too. Moving on to my number 9, I've got Heroes in Crisis. This is one of the series that I do not like sometimes, and then I absolutely love it at other times. I'm so wishy-washy on it, but I like it and I don't like it, but I am so intrigued to see what happens and how this mystery unravels. I can't say it doesn't have my attention.
It almost made my list. It almost made my list. My only problem is the same problem that you have. It's just like when you read it, it's good, but you feel like you haven't read enough. Like we're like 4 or 5 issues in, and it doesn't feel like there's enough substance. Yeah.
My biggest issue, honestly, is just with Tom King. What he likes to do is he doesn't like to write characters the way they should be written. He writes characters to fit his story, and so they don't always feel in character. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest issue with it.
All right, my number 9 is United States versus Murder Inc. by Jinx World by Michael Bendis.
Yeah.
I surprisingly, I mean, I already kind of knew I was going to like it because I liked Powers, I liked United States of Murder Inc. But I didn't think that I would like it enough to be on the top 10 list. But I really do enjoy that run.
Yeah, that's not really for me, but I understand that. Moving on to my number 8. You're going to see this writer on here a few times, but it is Death of the Inhumans, a 5-issue series, Death of the Inhumans with Vox, brought in my boy Beta Ray Bill, yeah. Black Bolt was a total badass. I really dug this series, and I think it was the right route to go with the Inhumans. So, my number 8.
Yeah, Donny Cates, man. My number 8 is Mr. Miracle. I was not a fan of Mr. Miracle back in 2017. 2018, Tom King kind of brings it out and had a handful of touching issues. So it makes my top 10 mostly just because it took something I hated and in 2018 made it something I actually really enjoyed. I decided to go ahead and get it in a single issue.
Yeah, overall, Mr. Miracle didn't hit for me, but when it did hit, it hit hard.
Yeah.
So I can see that. Next one is going to be another writer that people are going to be very familiar with. It's Jeff Lemire's Sentry. Yeah. I really dug that 5-issue thing. Again, I'm a sucker for Sentry back when Paul Jenkins first started doing his thing with Jai Lee. Bendis brought him into the New Avengers and the Mighty Avengers. Sentry was long overdue. I really dug it, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of that because I know it's not the end of Sentry.
Yeah. My number 7 is X-Men Grand Design, Second Genesis. I love the Grand Design. It's one thing that I feel like doesn't get enough love, but it is the perfect thing for a book for characters that is so convoluted, that has such a big, rich history, and it's a great way to break it down where it's readable and still entertaining, but also very informing.
Yep. All right, my number 6, Batman White Knight by Shawn Murphy. Something I did not expect. I was not expecting to like this series. Yeah, I think it kind of tailed off at the end, but the first 5 to 6 issues I thought were incredibly strong, and I'll forgive some of its shortcomings towards the end because it does feel like he wanted it to be a little bit longer. But Batman White Knight was a really refreshing Batman tale. I would absolutely recommend it to any Batman fans.
Oh, yeah. My number 6, you've already heard it once before, Lemire's Sentry. It's I really enjoyed that run. I do love the character Sentry, and Lemire was at home when he was writing this kind of character, which makes it's a no-brainer when you hear Lemire and Sentry together. It's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. All right, my number 5, something you've already mentioned. It's Ed Pisker's X-Men Grand Design Second Genesis. I've been loving the X-Men Grand Design stuff, and this one was no different. It tackles some of my favorite era of the X-Men mythology, and that artwork and the just retelling, and then the kind of the bibliography works cited of what comic he got the information from, the way it smells like an old comic book, it looks like an old comic book. I absolutely dig this thing. And if you can get the trade paperbacks of it, it's big. It looks like a newspaper. I really love it.
It is the only book that I ever sit there and go, do I want this in single issue or do I want it as a collective? Because when it's in trade, it is in the perfect kind of format.
Yeah.
It almost makes you envious.
Like an artist print
didn't
size.
Just wait. Yeah. Okay, my number 5 is actually one that you just mentioned, White Knight, Shawn Murphy's White Knight. I agree with you. It did fall off towards the end. It felt like as if he was kind of told, like, okay, we got to make this a little bit shorter. But when the majority of that story was just fantastic. It was a great run. It was kind of a breath of fresh air. And also, it made you kind of think, like, why hasn't this been a thing? And I love that.
All right, moving on to number 4, another writer that has been on this list already. It's going to be Cosmic Ghost Rider, something I didn't think I'd give a shit about.
My number 4
as
well.
Is it your number 4?
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd give a shit about it. Dude, I love it. I love the idea of Frank being a Ghost Rider, a Herald of Galactus. He's kind of like a surrogate father to Thanos. It's wacky, it's crazy, it's out there, but I really love it.
And then also there's like, what was it, issue 4, where you get this really kind of touching moment.
Oh man, yeah,
it was really great.
It did.
Yeah, and that was my number 4 as well. Great book, a great little mini series, and it makes you really kind of excited to see more Cosmic Ghost Rider. That's how you do stuff like that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna go balls to the wall, go balls to the wall.
I mean, a lot of times people do it and it just feels like a satire. And this, it felt like he did some thought to it.
Yeah.
It was great.
All right, moving on to my number 3. This is what made me a big fan of one of my top 2018 series. It's The Witching Hour. It crossed over with Justice League Dark. Wonder Woman had 2 of its own series, or 2 little one-shot issues as well. It answered why Wonder Woman was on the Justice League Dark series, and Tynion brought it, man. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he wrote this thing masterfully. Couldn't recommend Witching Hour enough.
My number 3, one that you already mentioned, another writer. Apparently, Donny Cates was the writer of 2018.
He might have been, him or Lemire.
Yeah, Death of the Inhumans. I love that run. It was a brutal, and it was great. I mean, it was a great run, and it was one that I'm really surprised that a lot of people that we had in our shop fall off of.
Yeah,
and I don't understand how you could, because
yeah.
it was just a killer issue. Yeah.
It was. All right, moving on to my number 2. It was actually Damnation. This thing tied over to Doctor Strange. It had its own thing. It went into Iron Fist and Ghost Rider. This thing was just cool, man. I mean, after the goes to Vegas.
I think that's Cates as well.
I think it was Donny Cates.
Yeah,
I think you're
Donny
right.
Cates as well.
And you got Doctor Strange playing poker with Mephisto.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing. Again, it's out there. It's weird. It's crazy. Balls to the wall again. But Donny Cates pulled this shit off, and I loved it. And we've moved a few trades because I can't tell you how many people I've tried to recommend it, and everybody who's read it loves it and comes in asking for more Doctor Strange, or even actually more Iron Fist.
Yeah, that's another one that almost made it on my list. I had it on my list, and I had to take it off to fit something else. My number 2 is Witching Hour. I loved it mostly because 2018 was filled with a bunch of events, but a lot of those events were very lackluster, and Witching Hour, I feel like, is a great example of how you do in an event. Tynion killed it with this event, and it was great. And I mean, it made you actually want to read Wonder Woman, which I'm not saying that Wonder Woman's a bad storyline, but it's definitely not one of the popular DC Rebirth stories.
No, it's not.
And Justice League Dark was it's still a great story.
Yeah. All right, moving on to my number 1 best event or miniseries. I don't think this one's going to come as too big a surprise for a lot of our listeners who consistently listen to our reviews. It's going to be Mark Millar and Oliver Copiel's Image, Netflix, Magic Order. This thing has one more issue to go, and I absolutely adore this book. It's like Kick-Ass meets Harry Potter, and I don't know. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, the idea of something that's gritty, dark, gory, like Kick-Ass meets like the fantasy world and mythology of Harry Potter, is something that intrigues you, which it did me. It's the first Netflix ever produced comic book. This is something I think we're going to see at least a TV series, Netflix, maybe original film or something out of it. But I'm so excited because I think that this thing has so much potential for a live-action adaptation. And with this last issue that's coming out, I can't wait.
Yeah. My number 1, I cheated a little bit. It's an event that happened within a storyline, but it was very touching to me and also got me back into Spider-Man. It's the Red Goblin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's technically part of an ongoing, but it was the end of Dan Slott's run, and it was a killer last few issues. It was a great way to end Dan Slott's run on it, and definitely was a way to get me back into being interested in Spider-Man, as reading comic books of Spider-Man and stuff.
I think there's a lot of people who would disagree with you, but I myself enjoyed that. So
yeah.
All right, that's our 10. We're going to move on to the best one-shots or single issues. These are just ones that are either single issues that really, it was tough. These are either issues that were just a one-shot by themselves, or there was a single issue in a run that just stood out so much to us that you just could not get rid of it in your head. So my number 10 is Defender's Best Defense, Doctor Strange number 1. I thought out of all the four tie-ins, Doctor Strange easily had the best tie into that book. I absolutely loved it. Say what you want about the Best Defense, but this as a single issue, I thought was great.
It was a good one. My number 10 is the Batman Annual number 3 that just came out a few weeks ago. It dealt mostly with Alfred and how he's dealing with Bruce being Batman, and it was a very touching issue. I love that issue, and Otto Schmidt killed it on the art.
Yeah, it was good. It was one of those things you just don't really think about. How does Alfred feel about everything? This issue laid it out. I really liked it. My number 9, I had to work this in somewhere, and because it's only one issue in so far, who knows how far it goes, I got to go Miles Morales Spider-Man number 1.
Great one. I was going to wait to put that on the list.
Yeah, this one was something that caught me by surprise because I've never been a Miles fan. Then I saw Into the Spider-Verse, loved Miles. Then I read this book by, actually this writer is on my list on this list twice for me.
Yeah, same here.
But he did a great job with Miles, and again, he's adding another layer to the character. I'm like, this is how you build a new character. This is how you add depth. This is how you make them feel like a real person.
The guy and Ahmed also has a pretty good sense of humor that kind of reminds
Saladin
me
Ahmed,
of
that's his name.
Yeah, he has a pretty good sense of humor about him writing, because he was like, oh God, it's not a white person writing Spider-Man. Like, just stuff like that. It's pretty funny. But my number 9 would be Web of Venom. Mostly because at the time I was still kind of on edge with Venom, because Donny Cates was writing it, and then this was coming out, and I thought it was not going to be that great. And it was a good one issue that kind of was a good little like compendium for the Venom series. I really
like that issue too, surprisingly, because I'm not reading the Venom by Donny Cates, and I really dug that.
Yeah, I was surprised that you liked it as much as what you did too.
I did. All right, my number 8 is What If Flash Thompson was Spider-Man. Marvel did these like 5 what ifs this year. A couple of them were really damn good, and this one was really damn good. Talk about one I didn't see coming, because this one was mean-hearted. It was really sad. It really made me feel for Flash Thompson as Spider-Man, and I never thought I would. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, they killed off Peter Parker in a brutal fashion.
Yeah.
And I thought, fucking, hey, applause. That's ballsy.
My number 8, which is kind of goofy. I don't know why I have it on here, to be honest. But Catwoman versus Tweety and Sylvester.
I like that
DC and Hanna-Barbera. I loved it. It was fun. It made sense. And granted, it should have been Black Canary, Catwoman, and Tweety and Sylvester. But it was a fun story. Gail Simone actually did a really good job on it. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to read that, I'd suggest reading it. It's fun.
I would too. I'll second that. All right, my number, I believe, 7 is Fantastic Four issue 655. It just came out, I think, 2 weeks. Was it last week? Last week.
Last week. It was the week of Christmas.
Right. And this is the wedding issue. This is Alicia and Ben get married, but that's not all that happens. It's just such a involved family story. Mm-hmm. You get something from everyone. You get something from Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben share some great moments.
Yeah, Spider-Man even has a pretty good.
He does,
good moments.
And it's Dance Law getting right Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
And then you get insecurities from Ben. You get him talking to Alicia. You get some background on how they met and how their relationship formed. It was a really, really touching issue.
Yeah, it was.
And this is one. Even if you're not collecting Fantastic Four, I recommend you go pick this up.
Oh yeah. My number 7 is Amazing Spider-Man Annual Number 1 by Ahmed. It was a great story. It told the whole Peter having the Venom symbiote through the eyes of the symbiote, and it was a great story, and with a great Delato variant.
It was, and also by Saladin Ahmed.
Yeah, Ahmed.
All right, my number 6 is the Marvel 2-in-1 Annual Number 1. Marvel put out the Marvel 2-in-1s. It was Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm, but this issue focused much more on Doctor Doom. I'm a big Doctor Doom fan, and it was Chip Zdarsky, I believe, who wrote it, and it was a really well written Doctor Doom. It was taken over from Infamous Iron Man a little bit, but anyway, great little issue.
Yeah. My number 6 is What If Flash Thompson Became Spider-Man. It was a very touching issue. It was a really cool way to look at things, and it was, like I said, it was touching, it was brutal, everything that you said.
Yep. All right, moving on to my number 5. It's Thor number 5 from Jason Aaron's newest run.
Crazy.
This is the issue where Old Man Logan has the Phoenix, and Doom is the Iron Fist, and he's like Galactus, and it's just nuts. It's crazy. It's bold. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of telling of things to come in the future, the way Jason Aaron's been telling his Thor run for the past 6-7 years. I absolutely dug this issue, and actually you said I think it got you keeping on the Thor run.
I just pulled it off, didn't get issue 4. Issue 5 comes out, you're sitting here like talking about it on our review, and I'm like, okay, I gotta start getting Thor again. My number 5 is Avengers 700. It was a great issue. It kind of like lays out what's to come, and it was just like had a lot of moments where you're just like, oh, holy shit, with the revealing of Blade, spoilers, and revealing of the Phoenix, Wolverine, and Loki conversing together. It was just like, this was a killer issue.
It was, and also it was the first time we saw the Crimson Dynamo, the Winter's Guard.
Yeah, the Winter's Guard.
Yeah, and you got a lot of bang for your buck for that book, because I think it was like a $5.99 book, but man, there was like 80 pages at least in there.
Oh yeah, it was a big book.
It was a good one. All right, my number 4. This is going to be very interesting to some people. They're not going to see this one coming. I'm very proud to put this one on, but it is Doomsday Clock number 8. This is the only issue that has nothing to do with Doomsday Clock, and I absolutely loved it. Jeff Johns is right at home. He's writing some Batman. He's writing Superman. He's writing Firestorm. This is what I want out of Doomsday Clock. Not all that shit with the fake Rorschach and Ozymandias and the two mime and comedian, whatever their names are.
Mime and Marionette.
Marionette, that's it. Yeah, I don't care about that stuff. You've lost me so long ago, but this issue, it brought me back. I go, okay, I'm going to give Doomsday Clock another shot, but I absolutely adored that issue.
Yeah. My number 4 is Thanos number 17 from the Donny Cates run. That issue is Thanos is pretty much kicking Silver Surfer's ass, who's worthy and wields Mjolnir, and just like Mjolnir. Yeah.
Mjolnir.
Yeah. And it just has some brutal imagery and some like crazy things going on. And I just remember after reading that, I was just like in complete shock and awe. It was just how cool it was.
Yep. All right, my number 3 is something you actually already brought up. It's Avengers 700. I absolutely love that issue. I was so amped up that I remember getting up off the table, just like so excited after I read that book. I loved it.
My number 3 is Amazing Spider-Man number 1, Nick Spencer and Ryan Otley. I love that, and we moved so many copies of that.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean,
I think we moved almost 50 copies of that book.
And I mean, I love that that issue so much to the point that I was about to buy 2 of the exact same copies. It was a great first issue, and it definitely he embodied they both, Ryan Otley and Nick Spencer, embodied this like perfect, amazing Spider-Man run, especially following up after Dan Slott's run.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. My number 2. From Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America run, issue 5, when the fight between Cap and Taskmaster. You were there when I read it.
Back to the streets, man.
I was going nuts over that fight.
That fight scene was pretty awesome.
That was one of the best hand-to-hand fights ever in a comic book with Captain America. I absolutely loved it. Ta-Nehisi Coates, keep doing what you're doing, man. I was so giddy reading that.
Number 2 for me is Fantastic Four number 5, which you just mentioned, which you did the Legacy number, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was like when I got done reading it, I'm like, this is why we need a Fantastic Four ongoing series in Marvel. This is the reason why you should pick up Fantastic Four. This is what they should do for movies. It had all these emotions and feelings, and it led with this, or it had this ending that was this huge cliffhanger that gets you so amped and excited for the rest of what's to come. It was a great issue, and it was another one where you had a bang for your buck. It was $7.99, and it was a big comic. You got about like at least 2 to 3 comics worth.
I think I sat with that book for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, you remember when I was reading it, I was ignoring all the customers and everything just to try to finish it.
It was a good one, and I think I actually said it was issue 655. I believe it was actually issue 650, so I'm going to correct myself there.
Yeah, it was 650.
Yeah, I wrote down 655. All right, and my number 1 is something you already brought up. It was the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1 with that Killer Delato cover and Saladin Ahmed. I had never thought I would care to read a book from the perspective of the symbiote, and holy shit was I proven wrong. This just goes to show what a talented writer can do with material. They can make it great. And
the cool thing about it is it just shows you also how much stuff, like you don't have to retcon things.
No.
There's a bunch of stuff within the universe that has been untouched.
Yeah, and not only that though, it makes me even more excited from Saladin Ahmed's Miles Morales because I thought, okay, this guy might be just kind of a one-hit, wonder. No, dude killed it Miles Morales too, so I'm very excited for that series.
He knows how to write Spider-Man. My number 1 is Amazing Spider-Man 800. It was a great issue, and once again, another issue that was a bang for your buck. I think it was like $7.99. I
think it was $5.99.
Yeah, and it was a big book, and it was just a perfect Amazing Spider-Man issue. If you want to hear our reviews, you can go back and check out a review on it. If you guys remember, me and Dallas sat here and just talked we could have talked for hours about how great that issue was. It was just touching. It had action. It had some great panels. You remember that one panel with the Green Goblin and Spider-Man? Yeah. And then you were talking about how you went in as wall art. Yeah. It was beautiful. Yeah. The only thing that sucked about it was they had that one artist that drew his eyes.
Yeah, I know. It was Humberto Ramos, I think
it was Ramos, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, now we're moving on to the biggest surprises of 2018. This can be a single issue. This can be a series. But basically what this is I had low expectations going into reading this book.
Or no expectations.
And coming out pleasantly surprised. Which... Now, if you're listening to us and you haven't read these books, your expectations are going to be higher. You might have the same effect picking up these books if you decide to after listening to this, but, hey, it's all subjective. So, my number 10 is X-Files Hoot Goes There, H-O-O-T. Never been an X-Files fan, never watched through the series, never cared about the property, really, never seen any of the movies. I really love the actor who plays...
David Arquette.
No, the guy who plays Scully. Now from Californication.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. David Duchovny.
Duchovny.
What I said, Arquette.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
David Arquette.
I mean, I like him a lot, but I never cared about X-Files. Hoot Goes There. It was fun, and it made me go home and watch a couple of episodes of X-Files. Feels dated, not really my thing. Didn't keep up with it, but I read Hoot Goes There. I really enjoyed it.
My number 10 is Avengers Halloween Special. Matter of fact, if you go back and check our reviews, I was still kind of like sitting on a fence about this book, and then the more I sat back and I started thinking about it, the more I really enjoyed it. I'm not a huge fan of these comic books with a bunch of short stories sometimes.
Like the seasonal books.
Yeah, and this was a good one. It had some really great horror short stories.
I liked it. All right, my number 9. This is because I was not a fan of this run. Didn't expect this book to end on such a great note, but it was actually Daredevil number 612, the end of Charles Soule's run. Kind of quote-unquote killed off Daredevil. I was not expecting to like that book, but I really dug it.
It was a good one. My number 9 is Archie 1941. We got it in this shop, and I don't even remember why we ordered it, because Archie doesn't really sell great here. But we got it. I decided I was going to take a chance and read it. It's by Mark Waid, which is another person who did not have a good year, let's be honest.
No, he did not.
And I read it, and I loved it. It was a very touching book, and I got like 2 of our regulars to read it, and they absolutely fucking love this book.
Yep. Yeah. All right, moving on to my number 8. You'll actually see this book was on the last review that we did. It's Hardcore number 1 from Image.
That's my number 8 as well.
Didn't expect this book at all. Came out pleasantly surprised. It was probably one of my favorite reads that week.
Yeah, if you remember in that review, I said, right before I was about to read it, I was like, I'm going to hate this book. Got done reading, I was like, I like this book. It's a good book.
Yep. All right, then I'll be moving on to my number 7 very quickly.
Yeah.
It's the new Punisher run, actually.
Yeah?
This is not a run that I expected a whole lot of. I liked the War Machine stuff, but I was like, it's a little gimmicky, but it's a fun read. It's kind of cool. This series is taking Punisher back to what makes this guy so great and why you don't fuck with the Punisher. I don't care that he's not a man with superpowers. You don't mess with him, and this book shows why. Didn't expect it. I'm loving it.
My number 7 is because I normally don't really care to read this kind of book. Not really care to read it, but as much as care to collect it for my personal collection, is Thor. Jason Aaron's newest portion of Thor. It's finally kind of showing all the work he has put in and how much hard work he's doing, and it's great. It's epic. I know a lot, like what you said, a lot of people don't really care too much for the Del Mundo art, but the thing is it is still a great book.
It is.
It has some awesome moments.
That it does. All right, moving on to my number 6, something you've already brought up before, but since you put in the new roster and the new team, really digging the Teen Titans book. Didn't think I'd care about the Teen Titans without a Robin, without a Flash. Well, this got a Flash, but not like Wally.
Not your typical Teen Titans.
Exactly. This is a
Titans.
very different Teen Titans lineup, and I'm really liking it.
Very different dynamic, too.
It is.
My number 6 is one that we just got in the shop just randomly, Breakneck. It was a killer book. If you got the review is not too old, so I mean you can probably find the review pretty with ease.
I think it was the second to last one we uploaded.
But it was a good book, and also it was a lot.
It was.
It was not. I don't think the price went up that much. I think it was like a $4.99 book.
And I also got a misprint.
Comics. Yeah, and there's a misprint too.
Yep. Well, save the suspense. My number 5, Breakneck.
It's a great book.
It was.
Okay, so I guess I'll go with my number 5. My number 5 is Bone Parish by Cullen Bunn. Cullen Bunn is not my favorite Capes and Cows writer, but when it comes to horror and eerie shit, he is great at writing it. And this has been a really good run consistently. I mean, it's only about 5 to 6 issues in, but it's been a good story so far.
Okay. All right, moving on to my number 4. This is a series that one of our customers brought up, and we thought, hey, we'd give it a shot and read it. We ended up loving it, and now I'm actually collecting it for my personal collection. It's from Ahoy Comics. It's Wrong Earth, Dragonfly Man and Stinger. Who the hell knew that I would care so much? But, you know, it's the old switcheroo of what happens with Adam West Batman, where we basically go into, like, Frank Miller's Batman and vice versa. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. My number 4 is Beyonders. One that we only picked up because Jake likes conspiracy theories, and it said it in the synopsis, so we read it. And
it's also Paul Jenkins, the guy who created Sentry.
Paul Jenkins, and he kills it. He's so smart, and it's so funny, and it feels very human and realistic. And I mean, it's cool how they use real conspiracy theories, and also kind of puts you in this like whole deciphering thing with actually making it interactive in a sense with the little codes in the panels.
Yeah, I'm gonna save the suspense. My number 3 is Beyonders. I love this series.
I like how we're just kind of trailing next to each other.
Each panel's got some kind of like glyph in it that you can. And every now and then I look to see if anyone's deciphered it. Nobody, as far as I know, has deciphered it. I'm not gonna go and do it because
you need to.
Maybe I do. And plus, the main character's name is Jake, so
And he has a corgi. I love corgi.
And he's got a corgi with a patch.
Yeah. My number 3 is West Coast Avengers.
Son of a bitch.
Okay, it's a killer book, man. When I remember we had the posters, we had all these like ads for it, and I remember we got the book in the shop, and I just remember looking at the cover and going, I'm not going to like this book. I don't like the artwork on it. I don't like the lineup. Yep. I don't care for any of this stuff. But one thing also, which is we don't have a whole lot of her stuff on these lists, but Kelly Thompson really killed it this year.
She did.
Whenever you thought you wasn't going to like something and she was writing it, it ended up being really good.
Yep.
And she kills it on this West Coast Avengers to the point that I'm still collecting this book. That is like, if you looked at my collection, it's the one thing that actually sticks out.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend actually thought that I was collecting it for her.
Yeah, number 2 is West Coast Avengers, Kelly Thompson. I was very close. She has had a great year. I was very close to putting Rogue and Gambit and Mr. and Mrs. X on one of these lists. I didn't, but West Coast Avengers completely caught me by surprise for every reason you listed. I thought this is going to be everything I hated about comic books, and God damn it, I love it. I love West Coast Avengers. I'm always excited when it comes out, and I never have a bad time reading the book.
Yeah, and I mean, she even, like, I didn't put it on my list because it's a digital copy, but her run on Jessica Jones is great. I didn't think I was going to like it without Bendis writing it, but it's
all
great.
Right, what's your number 2?
Number 2, Wrong Earth.
There you go.
Wrong Earth. I love it. It's a great book, I'm never disappointed when reading it. I get excited when it comes out.
All right. Well, I know we don't have the same number 1. I'm pretty damn sure.
Yeah.
So my number 1 is something that I thought I was going to hate, just downright hate this fucking book. I've hated everything that this writer's been putting out lately. I hated the big event. I hated the other event that they created to lead up to this. I hated everything about this. It's Scott Snyder's Batman Who Laughs. With the artist Jock. Batman Who Laughs number 1. It's only one issue in as of now, but holy shit did I love that issue. And it just tells me that Scott Snyder is at his best when he's writing just a Batman book, not a team book, not a stupid event like Metal, but if he's writing just a standalone Batman book, I'm all for it. And this brought me on, and I was so ready to write off Snyder as a writer altogether. Damn it, did this bring me back.
The only reason why I didn't make my list is because I did have at least a expectation that it would be good. My number 1, Justice League Dark. I didn't think I was going to like it, especially because I'm a Deadman fan, and Deadman wasn't going to be in it, even though he does make an appearance a couple of times. And also Wonder Woman being on the team. I did not think I was going to be a huge fan of this book. I read it just to review it, and then I end up loving it. It's one of my favorite DC titles right now. I highly suggest this book. And it also has one of the best events of 2018.
I mean, it was my number 7 of best series of all time, or all year, so I completely agree. All right, now moving on to the second to last category. We're going to go through this one hopefully pretty quickly, because I hope we don't talk too much shit about it, but it is our biggest disappointments
We're going to talk about
or the worst comic books of 2018. I will start off right off the bat. Number 10, Man of Steel by Bendis.
My number 10!
Oh, you son of a bitch. You said you weren't going to put it on there.
I couldn't help it.
Okay.
You got me thinking about it. I was like, you know what? This was a bad event.
This was
not an event.
Yeah, this was basically what No Justice was after Metal. This is but before Superman Action Comics. Didn't answer anything. There's a lot of setup, no payoff. Still not much payoff right now in the Superman series, and for that I dock Man.
Yeah, they made it seem like it was going to be like it was going to have like an ending to it, but really it was just a really bad prelude to kind of get you set it up for Action Comics and Superman. And they're combining these two things that seem like they have no connections together.
Yeah, it's like the long, boring road you take before you hit the fork in the road. You know, that's basically what it was. All right, my number 9, unfortunately, is another Bendis title at Jinx World. It's Pearl. I think Pearl is a huge bust in my opinion. I'm really digging Scarlet. I'm really digging Cover. But Pearl, I just cannot wrap my head around it, and I fell off.
All right, my number 9 is Life of Captain Marvel. I had some high hopes. At first, I didn't have like super high hopes on it, and then I start reading the first issue. They fool me, and then I was afraid that they're going to go a certain direction, and they went that certain direction, retconning the character. Pissed me off.
Yep. All right. My number 8 is an event that just wrapped up. It's Infinity Wars. It started off so strong, I think, and it had a lot of promise, and it became every other story that involves Infinity Stones, and it just flopped, and it belly flopped at the end, man. It hurt to read. It hurt to watch.
Yeah, it did. My number 8 is Cable and Deadpool Annual. One, I don't understand why they made an annual for it, because there was no Cable and Deadpool going on. And it was this the epitome of a fanboy's Deadpool, and I hated it. I was so disappointed.
All right, my number 10987 is Defender's Best Defense #1. I know it's weird because Doctor Strange was on one of my best single issues, but Best Defense, just the thing it all built up towards, it was a total mess. Everything that you read in those 4 issues that were solo spin-off series that were supposed to kind of all tie in, it didn't. It made no sense. It felt like a rush job. I'm sorry, but it was no good.
My number 7 is Batman: Kings of Fear. That was very. And one, it was a realization that Kelly Jones's art was just not working this time period anymore. But it was just not even worth finishing reading. Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to get a lot of people hating me, I'm sure. My number 6 is something that is 2 issues in out of 3, and I still don't care about it. It still has decided to not present whatever the hell the story is actually that's being told. It's Batman Damned. I can't wait for this thing to be over, and unfortunately we're going to have to wait till March because issue 3 comes out in March.
My number 6 is Pearl. I had really high hopes for it because it seemed like the way they were advertising it was like supposed to be the DC's version of Jessica Jones, and it was not good. The first issue was confusing, and it continued to make no sense.
Yep. All right, and my number 5, which is, again, going to confuse some people because this was on one of my best single issues, it's Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock is stupid. It makes no sense. It is dragging on. It's every 2 months. It's like, hey, make this 12 issues, and Jeff John's like, hey, I got enough material for 4, and it's just...
The best part about this is that you could have complained about this, you can complain about this event in 2017, 2018, and then in 2019.
Yep.
It could be on this list for the next year, too.
Yeah, because I think this one's also having another weird delay. So Doomsday Clock is my number 5.
All right, number 5 for me is Neil Adams' Deadman. I was really pumped about this because Neil Adams being back on Deadman, and he was writing, doing all of it, and, well, because I wasn't working here yet. I was so excited about it, and man, was it was bad. It was real bad.
All right, my number 4 is something I saw coming a mile away.
God damn it.
Nobody wanted to believe me. Nobody was saying anything, but I was like, this already has a precedent twice in Marvel since before this happened. It's the Batman Wedding. They gave out literature. They gave out solicitations. They gave out little fake wedding invites and stuff for us to pass out. Everyone's getting excited. Everyone's excited about issue 50 of Batman. And I was telling everyone, this is not going to happen. They're not going to get married. It's total bullshit. And what do you know? I was right. They didn't get married. And for the biggest bullshit reason ever, it's that if Batman is happy, he can't be Batman. And to which I say, he was happily engaged for a fucking year. So I call bullshit.
My number 4 is Batman number 50. Yep, that's all I'm going to say.
All right, my number 3 is something I thought had promise because I've been really enjoying the Aquaman series, and I thought this could be kind of cool, but you had to bring in Scott Snyder. Drowned Earth. Drowned Earth was a...
Brought in Scott Snyder. Drowned Earth. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, I did not like Drowned Earth at all. It got way too big for its britches.
You liked it there for a second.
I did. I was really liking the beginning and the setup, but then it ends up turning out just like the Aquaman movie. It's big, it's loud, it's ridiculous.
That sounds like a good synopsis of Scott Snyder's writing.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3, because my list is more of ones that just really fucking disappointed me. Plastic Man. I didn't have any expectations for it. Read the first couple of issues. Loved what Gail Simone was doing with it.
I loved those first 3 issues.
And then all of a sudden, it just fucking went down.
Bait
and
and switch.
Tanking, and went for this other story, as if it was 2 different Plastic Man stories, and they combined at the beginning of one and the end of a different one, and they just...
It was dumb. It was very dumb.
It was.
All right, my number 2, something you've already brought up, is The Life of Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers has been my Marvel girl for so long, and I thought, you know what? Here's a chance for maybe someone to come in, put their fingerprint on Captain Marvel, do something new, make her fresh, make me like her again, and it made me hate her even more, and made me very reluctant to see the movie because there's a part of me that's very afraid the movie is taking from this run, or this run
is going to be from the movie, so they can't say it's not comic book accurate.
Exactly, because we've seen what happens with Wanda and Pietro right before Age of
Marvel's
Ultron.
notorious for doing that.
And so if the movie turns out anything like this, I will be disappointed, and this was a giant letdown because I really enjoyed that first issue.
Yeah. My number 2 is Spider-Geddon. it started off as if it was going to kind of go one way. Spider-Geddon Zero, you even liked it.
I love Spider-Geddon Zero.
And then it went downhill, and it was an event that could just have didn't need to exist. It just did not.
No.
It was a pointless event.
Again, Into the Spider-Verse was coming out, so they did that.
But the sad thing is like some people who me wouldn't like agree to that was going to be the case until the very end of it.
It's funny because that is my number one. Spider-Geddon is my number one. It's to the point where I didn't even finish reading it because I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you can do is make a reader just not care about it anymore. Yeah. But what I'm realizing is 3 of my things on here from Marvel are also coinciding with a movie release. Spider-Geddon, Into the Spider-Verse, Life of Captain Marvel, and Infinity Wars came off the heels of Avengers Infinity War. Marvel, stop doing that.
Yeah. My number one, Infinity Wars. The only reason why it's number one is because you fucking fooled me. You made it so damn, like at first I was like, Infinity Countdown was so bad. I'm giving Jerry Duggan this one issue of Infinity Wars, and if it's not good, then I'm done with Jerry Duggan. I'm done with Infinity shit. I'm done with it all. And then I read that issue and I'm like, this is damn good. And I keep reading it and I'm looking forward to it every single time. And then the last issue happens, and it just nothing happens.
Yeah.
It was like, are you fucking kidding me?
The whole thing didn't matter.
You fooled me, god damn it.
Yeah, he fooled you, fooled me once, right?
Yeah, it fooled me like 4 times, Marvel.
All right, guys, and we are going to move on to the very last category. We are going to go over this very briefly, but it is what Josh and I would recommend readers and collectors keep an eye out for 2019. Welcome to 2019, by the way, guys. Happy New Year. I feel like I've waited 45 minutes to tell you that. All right. So, to keep an eye out for 2019, this is really in no particular order. We just kind of started listing some stuff off. But our first thing that we have out is War of the Realms. It's going to be penned and kind of orchestrated, puppeteered by Jason Aaron, something I feel like he's been building towards since 2013 with his Thor God of Thunder run. It's kind of making its waves in Thor. It's making its waves in Avengers. It looks like as Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be factoring in. So it's going to be a big kind of crossover thing. And if it's Jason Aaron's previous work is anything to go by, this should be a fantastic little event.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, and I have a lot of not expectations, but I have a lot of theories of what could happen in this. There's some big ones, and I mean, I think he's even said this is supposed to be kind of like not a conclusion to it, but what all his big Thor run has been leading to.
Right. All right, the next one we have is Wolverine: The Long Night. Issue 1 was actually a revelation, in my opinion. It's based on a podcast series, and I really loved issue 1. I think it's going to be a 12-issue.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's 12 issues, and it was a damn good read.
It was
really good.
And what's funny is Wolverine really wasn't even a part of that issue, and somehow I was really invested in the story.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to the next one, which is Conan and No Road Home. It's supposed to, what they're saying is basically that Conan is going to be brought into the Marvel Universe. Kind of excited to see how that happens. It'll be a first time it ever happens in comic books, I believe, Conan, outside of like a what if.
Well, Conan has always, there's been a time period where Conan, Marvel did a Conan storyline,
right?
But he was never part of the 616 universe. He was
he was in a what if with the Marvel universe at one point.
He was in a what if, but that's it.
Yeah, and so this should be doing that. So that should be interesting. Conan just had an issue 1 come out this week. He's also going to be having the Savage Sword of Conan. So it looks like they're ramping up their Conan stuff.
They also have a spin-off of a female character.
Yeah, it's like a pirate girl.
Yeah.
So it's just something to kind of keep an eye on. It could be interesting. Could be something that really adds a new thing to the Marvel Universe. There's a theory in my head that it actually kind of ties into the 1 million BC Avengers. I think that could be really cool.
See, and I feel like it's going to end up kind of tying in a little bit with, I hope it ties in with War of the Realms. I don't understand why you'd have Aaron writing Conan and not put Thor in there somewhere.
My thing is he introduces the 1 million BC Avengers. I go, this feels like perfect territory for a Conan.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right, the next thing is Guardians of the Galaxy by Donny Cates. As you guys can see, we were big fans of Donny Cates this past year, and him going on to a Guardians book that might have, Star-Lord, Groot, Moondragon, Phyla-Vell,
Cosmic Ghost Rider,
Quasar, Nova, Beta Ray Bill. So yeah,
Richard Rider.
Yeah, all these people who could possibly be in this book. This has potential to be a killer lineup. Donny Cates, we know, has really got a lot of fresh ideas. He has really good fresh takes on characters. And yeah, I'm a huge Beta Ray Bill fan. Really hoping he's part of the lineup, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, the next one is Heroes in Crisis. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this book, but the thing is, it is getting people talking. People are discussing this book. You either love it, you hate it, but it is getting people talking, and there's a big mystery to unravel here. And if the next cover of the next issue is anything to go by, I think Flash or Wally West plays a part in this book that none of us saw coming. and it could kind of ultimately rewrite that character's history or his legacy, if anything, if my theories are correct.
Yeah, I don't know about your theories, if I'm on the board with that one too much, but it's a possibility.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But again, it's just a book I think keep your eyes on.
And you know the one thing about DC is when they have an event that has controversy, if like half the people hating it, half the people loving it, a lot of times that means it's a really good event. I mean, Identity Crisis is one of those.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it's no Batman Damned because, there's no
There's
penis
no dick
in it, but it's still good.
Yeah.
The next one is actually something I think people are going to find will be a little bit out of left field, but the Wonder Twins. This will be the first time they ever have their own solo ongoing series. They are original characters from the Super Friends back from the 70s, and them actually getting their own title here in 2019 I think is a really kind of cool thing. I have no idea if this plays out being a good book, but it is kind of in a way, history for comic books.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is American Carnage. Now, this is one I got to pick. I know Josh isn't reading American Carnage, but what I like about it, it's a DC Vertigo title. It's very relevant to today, just kind of the landscape that we're in, but it's also brutal. It's not holding any punches. It's dropping all sorts of slurs and cussing, and it's violent. I just think it's a book that, I don't know. There's just something, I just have a feeling about this book. It could end up flopping. I don't know, but the first 2 issues I think are very strong, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think it could be one of those things people talk about for a long time. The next one is Criminal. You just nodded.
I don't read American Carnage.
I know.
I'm not like on board with it being like on this list, but okay.
All right. Well, the next one is Criminal. This was your thing, and it's another Brubaker and Phillips.
I feel like it's a no-brainer. Brubaker and Phillips together. It's like, I mean, they usually do gold together.
They do. I love Fade Out.
Like, I mean, there's the people who actually take the time and read Brubaker's stuff. They end up liking everything that he puts out. I don't think he's put something out that a Brubaker fan has disliked.
No, I agree, and that's something I'm looking forward to. I still haven't been able to get read My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies.
Well, every time you get it, it sells.
Yeah. All right, the next one it's an independent title. I think it's from Image, but it could be.
It's from Image.
Is it Image? I thought maybe it was Aftershock. It's called Weird. It's WYRD. And from the synopsis that we read,
it's weird.
It is weird, but it sounds really, really cool, and it sounds very interesting. Yeah. I'd say go look it up because I can't come up with it off the top of my head right now. I've been talking about so many other comic books, but it's something I would definitely say check out the synopsis on that, see if that interests you. To me and Josh, which, there's not always a lot of congruency between us and our likes, but both of us seem interested. Not something that I think we would typically be interested in.
Yeah, well, I feel like weird and stuff, certain things like that, usually it fits into a Venn diagram right in the middle for us.
Yeah.
Like, normally it's like American Carnage and Gideon Falls. Look forward to Gideon Falls. And then you put those together, and then you get this one little section where me and you both like, which is actually a pretty big section.
It's been growing. And the last one we have on this list, again, it's a landmark issue. It's history in the making. I believe Action Comics did it this past year in 2018. Detective Comics will be following suit. It's Detective Comics 1000. It's going to be a big thing. I think they're going to be doing a
prestige
format book for it.
They've already announced that there's going to be about 10 variants for it.
Same way they did with Action Comics. So that's something I'd say keep your eyes out for if you're a collector. Definitely something you're going to want to get in your collection just solely to have the book.
Oh, yeah. And, well, I mean, another thing that we forgot to put on here, another landmark is going to be hitting in 2018, Spawn 300. Yeah. It's going to be the longest running independent title out
of all time.
Yeah, of all time.
Yeah, good call. All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you this time. Again, sorry we've kind of been slacking on our duties to you of past 2 weeks, but, the holidays come up, things get weird. Schedules get thrown off.
Weird with the Y?
Yeah, weird with the Y. But we really hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments below what were your best and worst comics, what were your best miniseries, what were your best single issues, what were some of your biggest disappointments, and what are you looking forward to most in 2019?
And if you didn't like our disappointments, meet us out back. Come on, we'll take you on.
Yeah.
Like comment it down at the bottom, and then meet us out back.
Yeah, like real people, real badasses do. We fight over the keyboard.
Yeah, fight me.
Yeah, but all right, guys, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next week on Tuesday with another comic book review, getting back to our regularly scheduled programming. But take care, guys, and Happy New Year.